Most of the time when you're writing a bass line, the notes that you choose aren't going to be the problem. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a mixture between the sound choice that you use, your note placement, the length of the notes, and the swing if you have any applied. In this video, we're going to make sure that your bass line goes from stale and boring to grooving and punching every single time. So in Ableton Live here, we're going to be going over point 1, and that is your actual sound choice that you're using when you're writing your bass line. You want to be choosing bass lines that tend to have a lot of harmonics. In this example here, we have 2 of the same bass lines. Same processing. The only thing different is the sound source. So if I play this loop here, and I solo the bass, we can see here that it's only playing a sine wave. Whereas if I play this sound here, that's because this sound is a saw wave compared to a sine wave, which is what we were using before, as you can see here. And just for a shameless plug, we're using a bass preset from our House Essentials Serum presets pack. And if you want to get yourself a copy, just open the description and the link to it will be there below. So as you can see here, we're using a saw wave. Now, a saw wave will naturally have even and uneven harmonics, meaning that it will have a much more rich and full sound compared to a sine wave. So if I open up the sound here, compared to this sound here, it doesn't even need a filter applied because it's only playing a single tone. Point 2 is going to be your note placement. So in this example here, I'm going to play this loop again. I want you to hear how these bass lines interact with the drums. So in this example here, I'm playing a bass loop, which is the same one as before, and this one will have more syncopated notes. So syncopated means it's going to be playing notes that are not going to be on the 1 and the 3. Non-syncopated means notes that are going to be playing on the 1 and the 3. So in dance music, a lot of the swing comes from the 2nd and the 4th beat. If I show you in the clip here and zoom in, you can see that obviously it's arranged into a grid form. The 1 is where this note is playing, and if you zoom in here, you can see that that's the 2, the 3, and the 4. You're going to find a lot of the swing actually comes from this placement here and this placement here. So in this syncopated clip here, I'm playing a note that hits on the 1, and then a note immediately followed on the 4. And there's another note here that's playing on the 2, and then on the 3, on the 1 and the 3, 1 and 4. So you can see that this clip here is playing a lot of syncopated notes. This is like a semi-syncopated bass line here. Whereas if we have a look at our non-syncopated bass line, a lot of the notes are just hitting on the 1 and the 3. Now there's nothing wrong with either of these bass lines, but if you're after groove and swing and maybe even some funk, you're going to find that you want to have a lot of your note placement on the actual swung notes, so the 2 and the 4. Point 3 is going to be your note length. If I go into this clip view here, you'll see that we're using a different bass line, but there is a lot more notes going on here. We have a 16th note, and then it's immediately followed by a 32nd note. We have an 8th note, followed by a 32nd, and then a 16th note. So you want to have a mixture between long and short notes. You'll actually find a lot of the groove and the swing can come from varied note lengths. In my bass lines, I tend to use 8th, 16th, and even 32nd notes. Point 4 is going to be using the envelope of the sound as your groove tool. Basically, an envelope is the shape that your sound will follow. It's normally your attack, decay, sustain, and your release. So if I play this loop, we can see we have a pretty short attack followed by a 1 second decay, and then our sustain and our release. And on Serum here, you can actually see how that's shaped. Now, if I play around with the release and I solo the bass line, if I increase the release, you start to hear a really big overlap in the notes, which isn't what you want because it's starting to smear the transient of the bass line there. So you want to dial that back, but you don't want to hear the click. You want to have a little bit of release, probably about there. About there is the sweet spot. Your attack, decay, sustain, and release all play a really big part in shaping how your bass line punches and grooves. If I decrease the decay value, you'll notice how choppy and really short the sound becomes. This can be good if that's what you're trying to get out of your bass line, but you'll lose a lot of the power and the punch when you decrease the decay. Once again, you want to just find that real sweet spot when it comes to shaping the sound of your bass line. Same with your sustain. If you just drop it out completely and have zero sustain, you lose a lot of the body that you get from the bass line. And if I combine that with the decay, it starts to become more of a pluck rather than a bass line. So you always want to open that up a bit, and the sustain. I tend to give it a bit of a curve like that, and just slowly shape the sound from there. About there is the sweet spot. Point 5 is going to be your swing and what notes you actually use in your bass line and how high up in the octave they go. So if I play the loop here, we got the same bass line playing. There's going to be one difference here. This clip here is going to be swung, and this clip is going to be without the swing. So as you can see here, we have notator 16B applied, and in no swing, we don't have any groove applied. So if I play it in context, and the main thing is too, you want to have like a cohesive swing across all your elements that are swung. So for example here with this top loop, this will be the same groove that is applied to my bass line here. So that means that they're both in the same groove slash swing and they're not fighting against each other. Now I know I mentioned at the start of the video that the notes you pick aren't that big of a deal. We do want to optimize a lot of the notes in the octave. So as you can see here, I'm using the first, the third, and the fifth. But as you can see towards the end here, we're using a fourth note, which is the E octave. So we're going from E1 all the way up to E2. So that means we're using the full octave and we're not restricting ourselves to the first couple of notes in this actual register. We're writing our bass line in the full register and we're taking advantage of using all the notes. So I'd love to hear which of these actually surprised you or which you didn't know about in the comments below. You can find our Serum presets pack in the description below. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video.